Welcome back, Informed Fam. Today's topic of discussion is the deep state. Dum, dum, dum. The censor industrial complex. Have you heard of them? Well, many of the people we talked about at the WEEF play key roles in the co-opted part of the government. Our girl Whitney Webb is back, questioning, is this incompetence or government corruption? Incompetence being the scapegoat that many of our government leaders use after they have done something corrupt. Then we get down to the details of why and how the government, with government insider Mike Benz, as he exposes the official affectionately called the blob, the influence of the deep state industrial complex, rigging elections, legitimizing wars. He talks about how the Ukraine war could be referred to as a CIA op, how they crushed dissent, how they used the legacy media as their propaganda arm. Tucker, we got Tucker, not Chris. Not Chris. We got Tucker, no Chris, you heard? With the mainstream media's, the former mainstream media's golden child, with the warning of the intentions of the government and the news media and how they lie to you and subjugate us. They're always subjugating us, all the time. Let's get into today's episode. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
So when the Fed printed a bunch of money during COVID and gave it to like BlackRock to manage, like, was that incompetence? Especially when BlackRock like wrote a plan at the end of 2019 of the monetary policy that the Fed followed exactly when COVID happened, about what the Fed would need to do during a unforeseen crisis. I mean, it's just like, was that incompetence or is that corruption? You know? And so
see, us even having to question it is silly, it's moronic. It's not incompetence, it's a plan. And the plan is working perfectly.
I love it when a plan comes together.
You know the A-Team? I don't know if you've ever seen the A-Team. It's even more bugged that she has to do that for people, but you have to give them the other side. See, this is the part that's so interesting about what's going on currently is they, the powers that be, AKA the blob, AKA the devil in them, they can only give you one side. But in order for you to believe the facts or the information in front of you, you have to get the other side. That's why we're even here right now doing what we doing. We coming to give y'all the other side. That's why Whitney Webb is doing what she's doing, presenting the facts how she's presenting them to you. But no, it wasn't incompetence, it's corruption. This is the scheme going perfectly well. That's what it is. This is the plan, whatever they plan or whatever they have in store for us next. So yeah, of course, we're gonna let y'all know what's going on and how you should operate, what you should invest in, what you shouldn't invest in. I mean, we are the biggest hedge fund and private equity holders on the planet. We only own everything. Of course, we know what the f is going on. Duh, we caused the problem, stupid.
I mean, a lot of times they try and absolve themselves of like, when they sort of get caught or start to get caught for something corrupt, they'll be like, oh, don't look any further. We're just really stupid. If you consider just like the massive amount of wealth transfer that's happened in the past 20 years to like the people at the very top, obviously, well, I think it's obvious, but I mean, that can't all have been because of incompetence.
Yeah, it's not incompetence. It's our incompetence. It's the people that they're talking about that's incompetent. Even though everything adds up and it looks like they planned it. Nah, it's probably not a mistake. This is all just a big accident. They didn't mean it. It's just happenstance, you know? Coincidence, you know? Everything just lines up for no reason. It's a coincidence. Coincidence that they was there at the same time and they knew about it at the right time. That was all just like, you know, it happened. Got it here. It didn't just happen. Things don't just happen. You talking about what? I'm Boo Boo the Fool?
It's been a push for several years, but now it's gaining an insane amount of momentum in steam. But it really goes back several years. And the goal is to have a regulated internet, which means the end of online privacy and anonymity.
The end of online privacy and anonymity on the internet. Why is that? They want to create IDs for us.
ID.
Driver's license for you to surf the web. They want to lock everybody up in the same cyber prison because they don't understand there's way more people online to be controlled in a more cohesive and uniform way than it is in the real world to be controlled because of borders and governments having their own rules and laws to follow.
And they want to do this by having people link a government-issued ID to their internet access and internet activity.
Who is they?
So in the U.S., it's come from the government, but it's not. A lot of government policy, whether it's about this or something else, doesn't come organically from the government. It comes from think tanks. It comes from groups like that, or even the WEF, the World Economic Forum, that are then given to politicians, and politicians legislate and enact it, and then the state enforces it. But it's not necessarily the ideas of the legislature and the state itself, these policies.
Yeah, that's what we have to understand. We have to understand that it's not just the government by itself, it's the people. You have to separate the government as this all-encompassing entity or thing and understand it's people doing these things in their best interests. It's people doing things to subjugate other people, right? That's what it is. This is a small group of people being in control economically over a larger group of people.
And more often than not, these think tanks are funded by corporations and billionaires and all of these guys. And they also own the politicians, so it's really them creating the policy.
Why y'all think we was at the WEF? I keep telling y'all, I'm trying to help you out. So you don't gotta go, you dig? We gonna find out who's on the ground. We gonna see, I don't forget a face. We gonna see who's at the ground. We gonna see who's on the floor. You heard? And I'm starting to, all of the white people, they don't look the same. They got different faces. I've been looking at y'all for a little while now. Everybody's this little nose, he got a little nose thing. I see y'all. We see y'all. Yeah, we getting educated. We gonna find out who's on the ground floor because it ain't a robot doing these things. It's people, okay? It's the people, the government, the blob. The deep state is what they call them. That's what the deep state is, the blob. They took on the name, not me. I didn't give them that name. They like that name. You're gonna see later that they like that name. The deep state, the people, you have to understand that. You have to understand that.
And they use the state as an enforcer to force it on the public, right? So that's, I guess, the global public-private partnership is what my colleague Ian Davis calls them.
Word to know, public and private.
A public corporation is one created by the state for political purposes and to act as an agency in the administration of civil government, generally within a particular territory or subdivision of the state, and usually invested for that purpose with subordinate and local powers of legislation, such as a county, city, town, or school district. These are also sometimes called political corporations. Public is pertaining to a state, nation, or whole community, proceeding from relating to or affecting the whole body of people or an entire community. Black's Law Dictionary. Private corporations are those founded by and composed of private individuals for private purposes, as distinguished from governmental purposes, and having no political or governmental franchises or duties. Black's Law Dictionary.
When lawyers talk, they talk in legalese, aka dog Latin. Shout out to my guy, Santos Bonucci. When these people, when they talk, right? When they make the laws, it's in legalese. So public and legal means government. Private in legal speak is referring to a private person that are doing things with their own interests in mind, for their own benefits. When you hear public and private connection, it means that private people are now doing business with the government. Words to know, plutocracy, artful deception.
They, right? And I think it's pretty fair. He puts the BIS at the top, by the way, of the pyramid. This policy, one of the earliest iterations of it, at least in the United States, was during the Obama administration. They called it a driver's license for the internet.
There's another common thread that everybody must be aware of. Everything that you do is banking. Everything you do is banking.
All your bank accounts too.
And because everything you do is banking, guess who's in charge?
Who's in charge?
The bankers. The bankers never secretly stop being in charge. Even though you see the presidents and the heads of state talking and fighting, they talking and fighting because they're puppets. They're puppets out here in the front, and the bankers are the ones who's really in control of things. Isn't that clear with the BIS being involved? That's the Bank of International Settlements.
Idea of, in order to access the internet, when you set up, internet connection at your house, the internet service provider links all of your internet traffic to your ID.
Could you imagine if we need a driver's license for the internet? These people don't stop. They're not gonna stop until we end up in those damn pods like in the Matrix.
And in doing so, the government and the signals intelligence arm or intelligence agency of the government then has access to not just everything you're posting and writing online, but also everything you read and consume online.
And everything you buy.
And everything you buy.
With the current state of technology right now, could you imagine that if that was actual, with all the hackers that we have, AT&T just got hacked yesterday or a week or something like that ago. It's a major hack. If we had this, people could be on our network and you wouldn't even know. They could get the same access that the government got.
Motherfuckers, you thugging it now. Empire Strikes Back. No, fuck it, I don't want to stop. My gun to pop.
All right.
Totally. I mean, this whole push is completely related to ending financial anonymity and financial privacy as well. It's a completely interrelated thing. And I've done pretty extensive deep dives on this going back to probably like 2021. Because it's very tied up with how they're likely to force this regulated internet on the populace. Because they're not just going to be like, let's do this now. I mean, people aren't going to go along with it. So they need some sort of event.
Those same events coincide with everything because this is a banker thing, right? They use these events that she's talking about. They're called black swan events. Words to know.
A black swan is an unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected of a situation and has potentially severe consequences. Black swan events are characterized by their extreme rarity, severe impact, and the widespread insistence they were obvious in hindsight.
That's what they call them in the financial world. Black swan events are pivotal moments that they make changing. So be aware and let's stay focused. So if we have like maybe another pandemic, if they drop another C-19 bomb, if they give us swine flu, whatever it is this time, right? Whatever it is, that will be the event that they use to shackle us in more, to protect us more.
That gets people angry and afraid and panicking in order to stick it through. So basically, this is going to be folded into, I guess, what I would call a Cyber Patriot Act. The Patriot Act being the legislation pushed through in the U.S. after September 11th, 2001, right? A lot of which wasn't necessarily related to anything to do with 9/11, but was a huge power grab by the state taking advantage opportunistically of the panic after 9/11. So they need some sort of event like that to ram all this stuff through. But the plans have been on the books for a very long time, and it's not just the US, it's really everywhere. I mean, I think in the UK, you have something called like the Online Safety Bill.
The Online Safety Bill, does that sound familiar? The Online Safety Bill, does that sound familiar? If you go back to when we was in Davos, they was just talking about online safety for us. Golly gee willikers, Batman. Is it all making sense now? Is it all connecting? Are you connecting the dots? They're gonna have us in chains on our phones. Where are we free to do anything? Where are we free to do anything that's not stupid, that's not twerk, that's not rap, that's not shared gossip? But now be able to do anything that's real, of real value, or speak freely until they make some new technology. And I don't know if y'all looked around, but we actually own less and less things. Video killed the radio star and the internet killed everything, okay? You can do everything on the internet. I don't know if you checked around, you grew up with if you were a certain age, you grew up with a Walkman, a CD player, used to own the music, used to go out and actually buy some music. No longer buy music. Used to actually have a DVD collection. You no longer have a DVD collection. Now you stream movies. Everything you want to watch is at your fingertips, but you don't own it. You only have access to it. And this is what they want more and more of. So now you won't have any rights. You'll just have privileges. We'll take your rights away and we'll give you privileges. So it's like, if you had the privilege to breathe, we'll take that away from you if you act up. You got to understand this is artful deception. You keep playing around with things. They ain't stopped trying to control people. It's even worse now. Now it's invisible. It's invisible. Now at least you used to read your things. Now you just click a button now and it's done.
They have all these different excuses.
Exactly.
A lot of it, like the Online Safety Bill, they'll say, oh, it's about protecting children. But really, it's about ending encryption.
Didn't I say that? It's about protecting the children. Do you remember? That's what they was talking about. this last past episodes is why we was in Davos and why we keep checking out what they were saying. That's why we was in the belly of the beast, because these are the people that are rich enough that they can actually pull off the things that they're talking about, because they can just lobby and pay politicians to pass this law in with these other laws. And now guess what? We have to get on the internet with a driver's license. Could you imagine? Could you imagine you have to log in your driver's license in order for you to surf the web? Yeah, man, it's coming. It's coming. You're gonna have to pay 50 cents to log on to AOL soon. And that's not your cable provider. That's 50 cents extra to go into a website. That's 50 cents to enter a chat room or something like that. It's gonna add up. Trust and believe.
And which law enforcement in the UK and the US have been trying to do so hard for years and years and years. I mean, Bill Barr, who was Attorney General under Trump in the US, was like, that was his main policy goal.
I want to be clear about some of the parts with my staff, because they're saying I'm repping Trump a little too much, okay? Let me say this. I don't care about any of these politicians because they're all puppets. The point is so you can understand of what's going on. The point is so I can paint Trump in a good light, and so you can see him in a good light on this side and you can weigh the difference. That's why. I don't care for him. I don't care for Solid Snake. I don't care for none of them really, because they don't actually make changes that actually help the people on the bottom. So we're just helping you weigh the differences and helping you understand the options that you have.
I mean, we have options.
Sure.
Even if you don't have any good options, right? We still got to present them to you. So if they don't like him, it must be because their agendas don't align. They ain't none of our friends, just like Trump had this guy, Bill Barr, that was trying to do the same thing that these people were trying to do, only thing they're on different timelines. See, the time frame could be 20 years or 5 years. See, these other people is on a 5-year timeline. This 20-year timeline, at least we could have some time to figure it out and to see how we could dodge and maneuver and get from up under these people, you dig? That's why I'm doing the little Kim dance. See the little Kim dance, trying to buy the weed.
Was to end encryption. And he talked about it all the time, but a lot of people didn't really pay attention, I guess. But in the UK, it's a similar push because, of course, as I'm sure you're aware, the UK national security state and the US national security state are very intertwined, specifically signals intelligence, the whole Five Eyes alliance, which is obviously includes more countries, but it's UK and US dominated, obviously. It's not like Australia and New Zealand are running.
You have to recognize that a lot of what's going on, what we're seeing is being done in the public, but there's private alliances. There's private coalitions. That's private people that they said, okay, yeah, we're all rich. We love to be in control. I don't want to ever work in my lifetime. So we're going to figure out a way of how we can stay rich, okay? We're going to figure out how to raise for rich people don't ever have to work again, and we can continue to drain the poor people and have them do everything that we want. It's not that insidious. It's really not. If you're smart enough to get away with it, they're gonna get away with it. But not anymore in the internet age. Now we got internet sleuths like myself figuring things out.
In terms of what we're talking about with government, regulation of the internet and all of this, it's coming, right? We're already seeing the first signs of it here. There's an obvious push to censor more speech and link people's speech to their ID and have it more surveillable than ever before. Gutting encryption, why do they want to do that? So they can read everything that you say and all your transactions, follow them all. There's a similar effort in crypto and specifically with Bitcoin to criminalize mixers and criminalize any sort of service that affords you increased financial privacy.
While we have what is the new financial system that is coming along? Crypto. Well, we have crypto, and guess what crypto is? Encryption. You see how that happens? You see why I keep talking about these things? Yeah, I'm talking about these things because this is what's going on. And you gotta understand it's already happening, so what are you gonna do about it at this point? Where are you going to put your money? You're going to put your money where your mouth is because they're trying to end encryption. Meanwhile, there's a whole new system called crypto. Are you not picking up what I'm putting down? Because if you're not, get off. We don't even want you watching this. You heard? If you can't understand, watch 2 or 3 episodes like, I should make some decisions. I should start making some decisions. You're the adult now, man. You're 30-some years old. You're not 20 years old. I hope you're not just buying sneakers and all this foolishness. I hope you don't put a little thing to the side, cause they gonna have you on that slop kitchen line, man. You're gonna be on that line, yeah. You're gonna be on that line. You know the line I'm talking about. You come from a certain group of people. You know that line. They talk about that line all the time in church.
So a big complaint about Binance from the DOJ is that they were allowing people that were subjected to U.S. sanctions to use their service, but they're not really like a U.S. company, are they?
Remember, privacy means that you don't need to know what I want to eat on Friday night or what I want to drink. Like, why does the government need to know any of these things anyway? They need to know these things because it's part of your profile, it's part of your data. They need to fill out every part of your profile so they know exactly how to control you, exactly what you like. Okay, they don't want to make no mistakes in this thing, you heard? They don't want no mistakes. They're going to find out everything that you like, how they going to control you and make you comfortable while they control you. We want you there. We want you sitting there, have your mashed potatoes and your little beef gravy. You be good. Be good over there in the little corner. Don't say nothing either.
But the U.S. government, I mean, U.S. is an empire. They want to be able to go to any country and say, you can't do that. We're actually in charge. You know what I mean? So Binance not being under their thumb and being active in all these other countries, allowing people in Iran to use their services, for example. I mean, that was a big sticking point for them. It wasn't like criminals, terrorists in Iran. It was just like people in Iran. They're subject to U.S. sanctions. You're not complying with U.S. sanctions. And so we're going to charge you $1 billion and take out your chief executive and put our people in charge.
What Whitney Webb is describing is the economic hitman. You definitely need to know about the economic hitman. I don't know if that's words to know, but yeah, go look them up.
You know, this is the mafia, guys. I wrote a 1,000-page book about how the government is in the U.S. is organized crime, specifically the Department of Justice, and that's what they're doing. And keep in mind too, the DOJ has an insane amount of Bitcoin it holds.
I never knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that the DOJ owned that much Bitcoin. For my Bitcoin heads out there, y'all cool with that? I thought Bitcoin was all about freedom. And you know, the Patriots. How the Feds got 8 Bs. They got 8 billion Bitcoin. I don't know if that's the freedom coin. This not financial advice. Remember, this is just for entertainment. Don't listen to me. I ain't graduated high school. No, college. I graduated high school. College. Right? Because players mess up all the time.
Well, you know, I definitely think Bitcoin has the potential to be a tool for financial freedom, but I think there's major efforts well underway to co-opt that.
Sounds like it's already been co-opted, you heard? So if they actually do use Bitcoin, gotta watch out for it.
To serve the same agenda, right? And so I think people in the Bitcoin space that want it to be a tool for financial freedom need to get wise to those efforts to co-opt and resist, because it's either a tool of financial freedom or it's not.
Shout outs to Whitney Webb for giving us choices, but it can't be owned by the government and a tool of financial freedom. How does that work? Explain it to me, because I'm confused. Financial freedom, my only hope. Living rich and dying broke.
You know what I mean? And so if you cede enough territory and let them like completely dollarize Bitcoin and turn it into like a tool of U.S. empire to keep the dollar afloat and like, you know, keep dollar hegemony going forever and ever and ever, and, you know, are saying it's a flaw in Bitcoin that you like can't put dollars easily on Bitcoin and all of this. I mean, no, I mean, the whole point supposedly, right, of creating Bitcoin was to give Wall Street banks the middle finger and create something that had immutable sound monetary policy. Correct? So if you allow them to co-opt it so it's not those things anymore, what are you left with?
You're left with caca. You're left with caca. That's what you're left with. A big pile of nothing sauce. That's what you're left with.
The same old world.
Is it a tool of financial freedom, or is it just, has the promise of Bitcoin been hollowed out and replaced with Wall Street garbage?
Is that what you think the issue there, like ETFs? Are you alluding to the ETFs?
There's all sorts of things that are happening in Bitcoin right now that could be under that umbrella. But when you start to have people like BlackRock being like, you know what, we actually like Bitcoin now, that's a sign to pay attention.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
So I think people need to, in the Bitcoin space, need to be very aware that there is a fight being had right now about the future of Bitcoin. And you have to decide which side you're on.
And because they're trying to end encryption, if Bitcoin is a first layer crypto, they are trying to make sure that they got it. So if they start making things on top of Bitcoin, then guess what? Bitcoin is compromised. And the whole point of using Bitcoin was so it could be private, and now it won't be.
Are you going to fight for Bitcoin to be a tool of financial freedom, or are you going to allow it to be co-opted by the powers that be that it was supposedly designed to resist them and, be something they can't control? Are you going to give them control of it? I mean, the answer should be no to any Bitcoiner worth respecting, in my opinion.
And I don't understand how my Caucasian brothers and sisters don't understand how you say when we're going to let them when everything costs money. And these people literally make the money. So like, we're not letting them do anything. This is what they're doing. Every time we do something to resist it, they find a way around it because we're doing things all focused around money. And it needs to not be focused around money. If you picking up what I'm putting down, because guess what game we're playing? We're playing their game. So if you make anything inherit for money, guess what they're gonna be able to do? Co-opt it.
Whitney's warnings about the big conspiracy against Bitcoin are not new. In a Bitcoin magazine article from last year, the journalist revealed a strong connection between the Department of Justice, anti-crypto senators like Elizabeth Warren.
You see how the same names keep popping up. My girl, Lizzie Warren. Now they writing articles about sis. Didn't she just make the news the other day about helping my baby boy Gary Gensler? Making sure that all the questions wouldn't put him in a hard place. These are the people that are running the show. George Carlin said it a long time.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
And increasing narratives about Bitcoin being the payment of choice for well-known terror groups. According to the article, many of the groups looking to allegedly combat cybercrime in the US, including the DOJ and the FBI, are part of an international public-private partnership.
There's that public and private partnership again. I wonder.
Housed within the World Economic Forum.
The Wi-Fi again, here it goes again. These things keep coming up, and they're gonna keep coming up in your face if you're paying attention. Now, if you're not paying attention, just watch the Ethos and check it out, because we got something to say. You ain't gotta listen to me, just check it for yourself. Look with your own eyes and be open.
The infamous You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy organization.
You will eat the bugs. You will eat the bugs.
Whitney further revealed that this group is not concerned about fighting cybercrime, but is solely focused on controlling every aspect of our lives. In the article, Whitney wrote, "This public-private partnership, the WEF Partnership Against Cybercrime, or WFPAC, is run by a former intelligence agent named Tal Goldstein, whose military intelligence career was marked by his efforts to have intelligence agencies essentially fuse with private technology companies in his native Israel." She further revealed that the FBI, DOJ, and intelligence agencies of Israel and Britain are included in this partnership, as are the too big to fail banks like Bank of America and tech companies like Amazon and Microsoft. The objective is clearly not just to fight cybercrime, but something much more sinister.
Israel, no, it can't be. You see, when people are talking about the people they shouldn't be talking about, they get in trouble. And that's how you know that it's on time. It's because they getting in trouble for saying the truth. You can't talk about the king or his court, are you dumb? Whitney Webb just gave us the tip of the iceberg. Stay tuned to get more insights, more critical thinking, facts, and questions. Remember, the last free place is your mind. They can't control what you think. Check back next week for another episode of Knowledge.
Because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.